You've been awake in the quiet hours of the night, lying beneath the weight of your own thoughts, wondering why life seems to move forward while you remain in the shadows of waiting, unseen, unheard, almost invisible to the world that never pauses long enough to notice your pain. Have you felt that? That strange mixture of loneliness and expectation, the way silence presses on your chest and whispers that perhaps you were abandoned. But lean in, because this silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of heaven working behind the curtain, shaping every moment you thought was wasted. Stay with me, for tonight's message will change the way you understand every delay, every unanswered prayer, every lonely tear you've shed in the dark. You have walked through empty rooms where the echoes were your only company, traced the ceiling with thoughts heavy and restless, and wondered if anyone, anywhere could ever perceive the storms that rage inside your soul. There were friendships that faded like dying embers, doors that closed softly yet permanently, and nights when hope itself seemed to whisper, "You are forgotten." Yet even in these moments, divine truth stirs quietly beneath your awareness. Nothing in your suffering is meaningless. Every tear is a seed planted in the unseen soil of your heart, and every moment of silence is an invisible hand guiding you toward the awakening you could never force, could never rush. The fire that has been burning beneath your surface is preparing you, shaping you, expanding the vessel of your spirit so that when the time comes, the strength, clarity, and vision you thought you lacked will erupt into your reality like sunlight breaking through clouds after a storm. Have you noticed how pain sharpens your senses? How heartbreak refines the way you see the world? How loneliness awakens parts of you didn't know existed? This is the first chapter of your transformation, where the human and the divine converge, where what feels like waiting is really sacred preparation, and what feels like loss is really redirection. Picture a cocoon, tight and suffocating at first, but within it, wings are forming, invisible, unproven, yet alive. You are in that cocoon right now, held in a space that feels constrictive, but is in reality the most tender and deliberate act of creation taking place within your soul. Every disappointment, every friend who left, every door that closed was not punishment, but protection. A divine sculptor shaping you into the person you are meant to become. Imagine the pain as a kind of pressure, a refining heat that is both uncomfortable and necessary, reminding you that the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. And as the nights stretch long, remember that patience is not passive, it is active surrender, the acknowledgement that you do not yet see the whole design, but it is unfolding exactly as it should. Have you ever questioned the worth of your waiting? Have you felt anger or fear that you were being overlooked or that the world has passed you by? That is precisely why this message exists, to remind you that every shadow you have walked through has been counted, every sigh catalogued, every tear weighed and woven into the fabric of your destiny. There is a rhythm to what you are experiencing, an invisible orchestration of your heart, your circumstances, and your spirit that bends even time itself in ways you cannot yet measure. You are learning a divine patience that most never comprehend, and in that patience, your vision is expanding, your soul is deepening, and your destiny is being prepared in ways the world cannot see. This is the beginning of your awakening, to realize that what feels like delay is divine timing, that what feels like abandonment is protection, and that every moment of isolation is a sacred rehearsal for the life and clarity that will follow. You may feel restless, unsure, even frustrated at times, but know this: the seeds planted in silence grow roots stronger than any storm can shake, and the wings forming in your cocoon are meant to carry you into heights you have not yet imagined. And as you sit in that quiet, as you feel the weight of your own thoughts pressing down, Begin to sense the subtle shifts, the whispers of understanding, the gentle nudges of your spirit, the first glimmers of clarity that signal the transformation underway. Tonight, the world outside may continue to move in chaos, but inside you, a quiet revolution is unfolding. Stay with me, because what comes next will illuminate the path from waiting to awakening, from silence to clarity, and from longing to the first taste of divine revelation. And by the end of this journey, you will not recognize the person you were when you began, because every tear, every lonely hour, and every unanswered question has been crafting the masterpiece that is your soul. And now, as you lean into the stillness, you begin to see the patterns that were hidden in the chaos of your waiting, the subtle choreography of your life that only the heart attuned to the divine can perceive. You may have felt abandoned, cast aside, or trapped in seasons that seemed endless. But tonight, you are being invited to look closer, to see that every closed door was a shield, every fading friendship a redirection, every quiet night an invisible alignment guiding you toward a horizon you cannot yet fully grasp. Have you noticed how your soul has grown even in silence, how your awareness has sharpened, how your heart has begun to carry wisdom that it could never have learned through comfort alone? This is the second chapter of your transformation, recognizing that the struggles, the delays, the waiting, all of it is not the absence of God, but the presence of a divine refinement process. You have been forged in fire without knowing it, polished by nights of solitude and expanded by moments that felt like rejection, but were really invitations to awaken a higher vision of yourself. Each time you questioned your worth, each time fear crept in to whisper lies of insignificance, know that those moments were not random. They were sacred calls to deeper trust, tests of courage, and invitations to surrender to the process that is larger than your understanding. Picture the storm raging around you, not as punishment, but as the wind sculpting the landscape of your spirit, bending what is weak into resilience, clearing what is unnecessary, and planting seeds where only light can reach. Ask yourself, have I been resisting the refining, the shaping, the preparation that is unseen yet undeniable? The answer, if you are honest, is often yes. But there is grace here, and tonight, grace arrives in the form of revelation. The third chapter unfolds in the heart, where human frailty meets divine wisdom. You have carried burdens that felt unbearable, yet in that weight, you have grown strength that will sustain you in ways the world cannot measure. You have experienced nights when hope seemed impossible to hold, when the world was dark and your own reflection offered no encouragement. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still capable of receiving the truths that the universe has been waiting to whisper into your spirit. Each pain has been purposeful, each delay strategic, each shadow essential to the shaping of your soul. Consider how the most precious gold is forged under intense heat, how the wings of transformation cannot form without being held close, compressed, and prepared in the hidden space of the cocoon. Your spirit has been alive in that hidden space, and though you could not see it, movement has been happening, subtle and profound, rearranging your life for the emergence of something extraordinary. Have you felt the stirrings yet, that gentle rising of hope, the sense that something unseen is aligning in your favor? That is the divine pulse beneath your waiting, the quiet rhythm of your awakening. As the fourth chapter begins, you realize that what felt like rejection is protection, what felt like absence is presence, and what felt like loss is preparation. There is a clarity that comes when you stop fighting the timing and start observing the orchestration of your own heart, your own circumstances, your own path. Imagine the doors that slammed shut, not as denials, but as redirections to corridors and chambers that you had no idea existed, places filled with opportunities, revelations, and divine encounters that would have been missed had you not waited, had you not endured, had you not surrendered. Ask yourself softly, am I willing to trust what I cannot yet see? That question is the key, the hinge upon which your awakening swings. As you answer yes, your perspective begins to shift. The loneliness you once felt becomes sacred solitude. The waiting becomes intentional, and the storms transform from obstacles into instruments of refinement. Your human heart recognizes the pain, but your awakened spirit sees the purpose. You are learning patience that is not passive, trust that is not blind, and strength that is not fragile. You are beginning to comprehend that your suffering is the soil of wisdom, and the tears you shed are waters nourishing the roots of a destiny that only heaven could envision. And then comes the fifth chapter, the moment where you feel the first taste of freedom within understanding. You have been walking through the darkness, but now light begins to settle quietly into the spaces you never realized were empty, illuminating the pathways that were hidden in shadows. Every hesitation, every fear, every doubt begins to make sense, as if the world itself were bending to reveal the purpose behind your journey. The cocoon tightens, but inside, wings are shifting, stretching, testing themselves against the limits of possibility. You may feel the stirrings of courage and clarity, and even if it is faint, it is unmistakable. The question arises again, will I allow this moment to awaken me fully? And if you say yes, if you open your heart to receive this, the veil lifts even slightly, and a vision of your own strength, your own alignment, your own divine design begins to emerge. You see the storms for what they truly were, not enemies, not punishments, not failures, but teachers, sculptors, and guides. Your spirit begins to exhale, and in that exhale, you feel a subtle shift toward what is coming next, toward the revelation that will bring not just understanding, but clarity, peace, and the first true taste of the transformation that has been quietly forming all along. And as this realization begins to settle into the edges of your heart, you can almost sense the culmination of tonight's message approaching, the point where every tear, every lonely night, every unanswered question converges into a singular truth that will alter how you see yourself, your season, and your destiny. Yet before that peak can fully unfold, you must hold this awareness, feel it in the marrow of your bones, and step with me into the final unfolding of the story that has been written in silence and revealed in the sacred language of your own awakening. And now, as the realization deepens, you begin to feel the weight of your past lift, the heaviness that once pressed so tightly against your chest, now transforming into a quiet strength, a resilience forged through every tear, every lonely night, every question left unanswered. You are standing at the edge of revelation, where what once felt like confusion now becomes clarity, and what once seemed like delay now feels like preparation perfected. Every shadow you walked through was a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life, every storm a sculptor shaping the contours of your spirit with deliberate precision. You may recall the moments when doubt whispered lies of insignificance, when fear murmured that your prayers had fallen unheard into an empty universe, when isolation seemed permanent. Yet tonight, you see that every heartbeat, every sigh, every moment of waiting has been orchestrated with intention, love, and divine strategy. This is the moment where everything converges. The loneliness is revealed as sacred solitude, the delays as divine timing, and the heartbreaks as protection, calibration, and awakening. Your soul exhales and tastes the truth that you were never broken, never abandoned, never left to wander without purpose. You are being made ready, quietly and patiently, for a destiny that only heaven could have envisioned, a life sculpted from trials into triumph, from questions into clarity, from silence into revelation. Ask yourself, am I ready to step into the fullness of what has been preparing me all along? And as the answer rises within, even if faintly at first, you feel a stirring of wings beneath your spirit, the cocoon cracking ever so slightly, as the light of understanding pours in, illuminating the person you have been becoming, the life you were always destined to walk. The storms that seemed unending are now recognized as instruments of awakening, bending the path, shaping the vision, and deepening the courage within you. Every closed door, every fading connection, every night of tears becomes a landmark on the map of your soul, a testament to endurance and a guide toward the clarity that is now settling in your heart. You begin to feel the rhythm of divine orchestration, the quiet pulse of love and purpose behind every moment of waiting, and you understand that what you thought were setbacks were in truth setups. Setups for transformation, setups for elevation, setups for the emergence of a life that is aligned with your highest calling. And in this sacred moment, peace flows over you like a gentle tide, softening the edges of fear, quieting the restless mind, and filling the hollow spaces with warmth, reassurance, and certainty that you are exactly where you are meant to be. You are not breaking down. You were breaking open into the fullness of who you were always meant to become. And as this truth takes root, you carry it forward into every action, every choice, and every breath, trusting delays instead of resisting them, forgiving faster to release your heart, walking lighter because the weight of misunderstanding and doubt no longer holds you captive. This integration is the final gift of tonight's message, the realignment of spirit and reality, so that the sacred work within you spills naturally into the life around you. The wings that were forming in secret now stir with possibility, ready to lift you beyond what you could have imagined, into clarity, into purpose, into the divine life that has been awaiting your readiness. And as you feel this truth pulse through every fiber of your being, remember, silence is sacred, waiting is purposeful, and your awakening is unstoppable. Carry this with you into the world. Let it color your perspective, let it shape your choices, and let it remind you that everything you have endured was never wasted. If this message touched your soul, share it with someone who needs this reminder. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss what heaven is trying to tell you next.